president of the Bristol Sports Hall of Fame. I want to welcome you all here tonight. We have a very distinguished panel here and talk about Special Olympics in Bristol. Very appropriate year since we have two young men that will be representing the United States next month out in Minnesota.
Yeah, Minnesota.
And you'll probably hear about that a little more. I want to thank Gail and Bob Freeman and anybody else that was involved putting this program together. Just a little housekeeping, if you need the restrooms, they're out in the lobby to the right. Okay, and we have exits, quite a few exits just in case you need them. So without any further ado, I'm going to turn this program over to Gail Ericson.
Hi, everybody. I just want to introduce the panel, and this is a program very dear to me. I was involved in Special Olympics for many years. It's all his fault, Mr. Fallon's fault over there. Anyway, like I said, it's very dear to me, so this has been really kind of special putting this all together. So we have early days, Mr. Fallon. Bob Fallon is going to talk about the time that he was involved with the Carpenters, along with Paul Hylan, right here, Paul. Some exciting times we had in summer games with Paul. Tim Petit, who is the current director of the Bristol Special Olympics. And Ryan Cook is our athlete going out to Minnesota for his nationals bowling tournament. Yep. We have some distinguished guests here in the audience. We have Charlie McLaughlin. And I want to make sure I get this right, CEO of Special Olympics Connecticut?
Chief Administrative Officer.
Okay, very good. So very excited. I met him the other night and glad he's here. Some athletes. We have Kevin Karlowski here, Kyle Pettit, Lee Karlowski. Do you do any coaching? Yeah, he does the coaching too. Track and field. Okay, track and field. Cycling. My husband Bernie does cross country skiing. Any other coaches here? Okay, so I guess that's about it. I'm going to start out with Bob, maybe, to go over the early years, his involvement when the Carpenters were involved with this.
Now, many years ago, I knew Jerry and Carol Carpenter, and I got a call one day at home, and Jerry said, "What are you doing this weekend?" I said, "Nothing, really." And he said, "Well, I need you." I said, "What for?" He said, "I need you to be a one-on-one. We're going to the state games at the University of Connecticut, and I need one person to help with one of the athletes." And so I said, "Well, I wasn't sure about it because I was a little hesitant." I said, "Okay, I'll go." So I went. Well, I got hooked. It was a great experience. We had so much fun, as Paul Hylan will tell you. And Paul wasn't there that first time. But when he came on board, it was even better. We can talk about all the crazy times we had, and they were crazy times, but they were so much fun. And the athletes had such a great time. They couldn't wait to get to the games. And I saw them all the time because after I started to get involved with Special Olympics in track and field, I would go down to, we had a group of kids at Bristol Central High School, and I would go down there every day. That's where I had my coffee.
Yeah,
Right? And I'd go there and I'd have my coffee and I'd see the kids and we would talk about Special Olympics coming up, whatever was coming up, and they would always get all excited about, what was happening. And of course, if they went to the Special, they would all have their gold things and they'd make sure they showed us all the wonderful awards that they got. So it was late in the 80s that the Carpenters and I sat there and we knew that the World Games were coming to New Haven, Connecticut in the year 1995. And we decided that we were not going to go there and help out and pass out water and cheer for the Olympians. We decided we wanted to be part of the game. And so we consciously went out and got ourselves into the program of track and field officiating. And we went on and got our master's certification through United States Track and Field. And then we had to apply to the National Special Olympics to see if they would accept us to work the games. And luckily, all three of us were accepted. And so we became official for the World Games in New Haven in 1995. And that, of course, was a great time. And we met Special Olympians from all over the country, all over the world. I remember one night we missed the bus that we were talking about a minute ago, the bus system after the big games, because Clinton had come to the Yale Bowl to have the opening ceremonies, and afterward the bus situation was utter confusion, and we couldn't get a ride back we had to go to Central Connecticut where our car was, and we're trying to find a ride on any kind of a bus with anybody, so we snuck onto the South African Special Olympic bus, and we finally got back to Southern Connecticut. Then I could get in the car and drive all the way back to Bristol, but I had to get up next morning and come back because I had to work the games the next day. I had to officiate, and I had to be there at 8 o'clock in the morning, so I think I got maybe 2 hours sleep that night. So that was my stint with Special Olympics, and it was all because of the carpenters. The carpenters were the people who coordinated everything. Carol was a secretary in the school system. Jerry was adaptive PE, and he worked out of Stafford School. And when he started the cross-country skiing program, I remember going to Stafford School, getting out the skis at Stafford School, and going out the back, hoping there's enough snow out in the back to get a little practice in before we go to the state games, wherever they were being held. And it was just a really, really great time, and I have so many fond memories of that. And after I had retired and finally went off to where I wanted to be, which was Florida, all of those things that I had so much fun doing, the track and field officiating across the country, and Special Olympics, I had to find another path, something different to do. But those were the early years with the carpenters, and we went to venues all over
We were at Coast
Connecticut.
Guard, we were at Yale, Coast Guard,
the Coast Guard, Southern Connecticut,
Southern Connecticut, Fairfield.
Connecticut College for Women.
Yeah, but that was part of the Coast Guard.
Yeah.
Both of those were there, yeah.
That's when you guys still had regional games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did the regional games and all of that, so that was the beginning. And Gail,
Gail went in on Coast Guard.
I met Gail in 1989. It was 89, because that was the year that you and I were both selected Coach of the Year, and that's how we met.
Right.
She was a volleyball Coach of the Year in 1989 from the state, and I was the golf coach in 1989 for the state. And that's when we first met, and then I kind of talked her into getting involved in some Special Olympics, and she took it over with a gusto, and got involved in biking and cross-country skiing and everything.
He hooked me by saying, there's not enough snow for us to go outside and ski, so I need some guidance on the weight room at Eastern. So he says, would you come in and help? You know, we just want to have like a little bit of a practice, get the team, a little team bonding thing. And, we do the exercise bikes and a little bit of weights, and that's how he got me in. He goes, I don't know anything about this, and I'm a PE teacher, so I'm like, oh, okay, I'll do it. And then I got hooked too, so.
Yeah, I remember that Bristol Eastern, when you're talking about going down, we'd go from there and we'd make them all get in their socks.
Yes.
And we'd slide up and down the hallway. I don't know if that's legal now, but.
We're not going to be able to do it now. We can't talk about all the illegal things we did. Various things where we did. One of the funny stories is that Jerry Carpenter loved these banners that they had at all of the state games. And they were beautiful banners that some of these big industries put up, and they were big things, and he wanted those. And so we legally or illegally managed to get some of those banners. And it was difficult being in a stadium with people watching you, trying to get this 20-foot long banner stuffed in your back pocket with nobody seeing it.
At Coast Guard, we were at the dog pound,
Oh, yeah,
and Jerry had a Swiss Army knife with the scissors in the knife. So we would put the kids in where we could get blocked, and we clipped off these zip ties, rolled it up, and Jerry would stuff it in his backpack, and off we go.
So if you went to Stafford School the next week, there was always this beautiful banner and the
He
gym
would just pick one that he
Stafford
liked.
School, right?
They've been cycling ones too.
Oh, yeah. I started with Special Olympics in '76 at Han High School. That's where I went to high school. And my swimming coach got me involved. And we would go do the swimming part. And my first summer games was at Newtown High School. And the guests were Gail Janice was a news person for Channel 8, and Bruce Jenner were our two there. And I would come back from college and work out with them, and then after college, I lost it, and Jerry McMahon would hear me talk about Special Olympics, and she hooked me into going to the Yale games. And that's where I started at the Yale games with Jerry McMahon and the Carpenters. And then from there on, it was just off and on. And during the Yale games, her niece and I, we were goofing around and we were spraying bottles at each other. And that night we started a water gun fight. All right? And this was with this was just with the partners. Well, the next year it led to athletes started to bring water guns. I had to bring my water guns. And it would be we had to dance on Saturday night, and the kids would dance. And then there was this 45-minute interlude because they were going out to get pizza for the kids before they went to bed. And that 45 minutes was the water gun fight. I mean, it was a fun, and then as we hit, people started to see us doing it, and we had other towns starting to join in with us. And at Coast Guard, we had a massive, like 3 or 4 other towns joined in, and it was just total fun. But I think some of the fond memories were like you walk in there with the athletes for the opening ceremony, and it's just unbelievable. You know, they announce you as you walk in like a regular Olympic, and then you're there, and you do the oath, and they light them, the torch comes in, and the parachuters. And at Coast Guard was the year before the World Games in New Haven, and I had an athlete who really did not like a lot of noise. His name was Stevie. And all of a sudden, Jerry comes up to me and he goes, "They're gonna do a flyby." I go, "What?" "They got 2 of these jets coming in and they're gonna fly by us." And I'm going, what are we gonna do with Stevie? He goes, "You figure it out." So like we had Stevie come and we're moving him around, and boom, they came through, and we managed to keep Stevie calm. And off they went, and then every Sunday morning, we had to go see the 2 mile because Paul Kitts was running. And I mean, we hadn't gone to bed. We did the water gun fight. We did the pizza. We don't go to bed until maybe 1 o'clock at night because we're making sure all the athletes are sleeping. And Jerry has us up at 6:30 in the morning. We go to breakfast, and we're down at the track at 8 watching Paul run. And it's just these memories. And then Jerry, my forte now from Jerry was Unified. And I first learned about Unified from Bo Doherty. And if you don't know who Bo Doherty is, he is the Eunice driver who's part of the Kennedys, started Special Olympics, and then Bo was right underneath Eunice. And he would come to our, Chris can contest, come to our soccer tournament up at Bristol Central and everything. And Bo started that, and the Carpenters got me into unified basketball for the Bristol Unified Sports Team. Unified is a partner like myself with an athlete like Kevin here, and we would play, again, basketball, soccer, they have hockey now, I believe. They've gone to unified football on the high school level, and it's just a lot of fun. And like, we had tournaments at Quinnipiac, we were in the summer games that we were, fall games, basically, we were playing in Hartford. And then I had to leave it and come back when Dennis Sigmund and Kevin O'Donnell grabbed me, and we started the unified programs in the Bristol Public Schools. And I believe we're like a feeder program to Bristol Special Olympics.
We get a lot through unified sports right after high school. A lot of younger athletes.
Yeah, and it's all CIAC that's doing it. We're considered on the high school level like one of the top 5 in the state. And one year we were the #1 team in the state. We won the Michaels Cup, which they don't do anymore. And
Paul, if I could interrupt,
Yeah.
they also do, for basketball is, for unified, is
did they get?
the state high school finals are all played at the
I
league
was
side.
going to get to that.
How?
Yeah.
We're still unified, correct?
No, because we had a chance, Mrs. Rustick brought our team and they played during halftime when our boys were down at Mohegan Sun for their championship game. And then this year when the girls were in the finals, it was Rocky Hill's unified team versus our unified team at halftime. And they do it with they do whatever team, and like they'll go out and go ask for it. I've made calls and say, hey, we got a team that will play. If you need us, we'll go wherever we want to go. And that was our motto with our team. So, and then we just finally got back to the middle school. Chippens finally got their team back. We've run 2 tournaments there. And our soccer tournament is, I think, the oldest unified soccer tournament on the high school level. And we are used for the kickoff. We are the one that kicks the season off for unified soccer. And I can't thank my ADs, have been really good. You know, and Chris would always go, what do I need to do? I said, just give me my nets, don't worry, everything's taken care of.
Awesome, Paul.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now we're going to move into the current time. Tim Petit is the director of the Bristol Special Olympics, so he's going to touch on what's going on now.
Thank you.
Yeah.
First, I would like to thank the Hall for having us, but for your generous donation to our athletes for the Olympic National Games. So, it means a lot. It's a big help, so thank you very much. Let's see, I got involved in 2005 when this guy, who was about 16, joined Special Olympics. And just was another parent, family member at every practice, every game, everything, because that's what we did with all of our kids. And so a lot of the things that these guys talked about, some of the traditions, for example, the dance, the squirt gun fight, the pizza, we do that today. Those traditions have lived on, and we cherish those things.
Yeah, there's the guys that started it.
And we still do, we're carrying on.
Thank you.
The woman that, the coordinator before me is a woman by the name of Sue Rylander, who did a tremendous job. She was there when I came in. Lee, you might have an idea of when she actually started. Lee and Kevin were in the group. But she did a tremendous job, and in 2018, she said, I'm moving to Virginia. And I was the last guy in line that didn't step back. And so I became the local coordinator, and it's been amazing. We wouldn't give it up. We have a couple of philosophies. One, it's about sports, it's about competition. but we also think it's about socialization, inclusion, being part of the community. So we've kind of expanded our group quite a bit. We now have, I think, 12 committee members. Kim and Peter are on the committee, Lee's on the committee. And we do all kinds of things outside of sports. We hold dances, we hold picnics, we do game night. We've coordinated baseball games, going to games, that kind of stuff. Because we think it's important that our athletes are part of the community. We try to give back. Bristol Police are big in the torch run. They raise a lot of money for the Special Olympics. They're really good to us. They show up to our events. We have athletes that run in the torch run with the police. In fact, we have a few that have done the entire 7 miles. It's pretty darn good. If you guys know Bristol, it starts at Cedar Lake at the top of the mountain, comes all the way down to the bottom of the hill, down through the center of town. You stop for a quick couple of pictures with the mayor at the town hall, run down Route 6, and then you run all the way up Route 6 to Farmington. And we've got several guys that have run the entire trip, including him once. He don't like it. So we've expanded that. One of the things that we've been able to do is to give back. During bowling, we sponsor a food and clothing drive. So every Saturday when we practice, I get a couple of bins of clothes and food, and Lee usually drops them off, and we take it to the local food pantry or soup kitchen in one of the churches, and we just kind of rotate through. And it's just a way that, you know, our group can give back to those that are given to us. Kind of one big event for everybody was COVID, and it had a real tough impact on Special Olympics. It's hard to have these big events and so forth when you have something like that going on. And during COVID, I'm trying to, was it 2021, Lee?
2020 and 2021, there were no summer games held because of
In
COVID.
2021, we did our own games,
We
right?
did our own, right?
Yeah, so we decided that, you know, that wasn't what we were about. We were gonna have our own games. And so we were able to get the Buzzutos to donate the space over at the Farmington Club, and they put up tents for us for a dinner tent. They wouldn't provide any staffing, but they provided their facilities, and we brought all of our athletes in, our cycle team, our track and field team. The Bristol Police came and supported us, and we had our own games. And I think that was one of the more fun years that we had, because every athlete could play, could do every event. As these guys, and most of you well know, it's 3 events. You go to track and field, you know, maybe you get a distance run, a short run, a long jump, a softball throw, something like that, but you get 3 events.
Hey, Tim, Ed Beardsley started a challenger division for Little League. Is there any overlap, you know, with the Special Olympics and the challenger division, or is that a totally separate entity?
It is separate as an entity. There are times when we do expand into each other's events. We've done some ball games, for example, where we've coordinated with them. We did for a few, this is before I was in charge. Some of our younger coaches did Friday night softball over at the old Boulevard High School, where the softball field was. And some of those, some of the challenger baseball players would come over and play as well. We did a baseball game at the Bristol Blues, where the Blues let our athletes on the field, and they played a couple innings. And so there was some challenger athletes, and there was some Special Olympic athletes. And that was pretty fun. You know, they got out on the field with, you know, these college level players, and they got, you know, everybody got a chance to hit and run and throw and be on the field with guys that are playing at a college level. So there's some other things. The Boys and Girls Club does a nice job with basketball league in the wintertime that these guys go to. they played with Donovan Klingen, who was on the Boys and Girls Club team his senior year of high school, and they invited him down and played with him at halftime. So there's a lot of that stuff going on in town. It's all good stuff.
Yeah. Thank you.
I was just to wrap up, kind of post-COVID, we just wanted to expand the group and become, I'll say, functionally strong as possible. We expanded, we have about 12 committee members, very, very active. The folks here are very active. And again, the goal is to spread it out as much as we can, build the group up as much as we can. We have approximately 100 athletes now. We do the same, probably the same sports that you guys have been doing from the beginning, track and field. We have a cycling team as well. And then, we don't do swimming. No, not anymore. We do cross-country skiing, which Bernie helps out with, and we have a downhill team. We have 4 skiers that are, the only thing I do downhill is roll, you know. And these guys, it's amazing. They're really good skiers. Fundraising. We do fundraising. We raise a lot of money.
That's all part of the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, well, Lee brings up a good point. Fundraising, it's a big part of it. We're a 100% volunteer group. You know, unlike, I'm gonna pick on Bob. Unlike the state group, they have overhead, they have salaries, folks have to, get paid to do that. We're all volunteers. Our budget runs roughly 12 grand a year, give or take, for what we do. We don't charge anybody anything. All of our athletes participate for free. We provide them with shirts and shorts and jackets and that kind of stuff. We pay for their entry fees to the games. The big one for us is bowling. We have a big bowling team, about 65, and we bowl for 10 or 12 weeks in practice, and it's $8 a head, times 65, times 12. And we raise that money, and no one pays for bowling. And then there's fees, of course, to go participate in the game. I think it's one day event is what, $30 or $35?
Per person.
Per person, and then for the weekend, like summer games, it's $60. So you bring 46 athletes and another 15 or 18 assistants, you're over 60 people. It does start to add up a little bit. But we've got a very active group that is, not afraid to fundraise. The last 5 years, we've had a company in town, IDEX, some of you may be familiar with it. They're plastic molding, injection, do a lot of medical applications. They kind of became our big brother, and they've given us about $10,000 a year for the last 5 years. Unfortunately, they're closing. So anybody else got a company that wants to put their arm around this, we'll be happy to do it. They're a great example of folks in the community supporting us. Not only do they do that, but they come to the torch run. They have 4 or 5 folks that run the torch runs. They come to the winter games, and they handle parking for the games, and then they come and cheer the Bristol athletes on. I joke around and all, I call it the Bristol Winter Games, because the cross-country tracks are lined with folks from IDEX with signs that say, "Go Bristol." And when you watch the parade of athletes on, it's usually NBC, I think, at the 6 o'clock news, you just see these people walking by with Bristol signs. So, and that's what we're really looking for. We're looking for that level of involvement with the community, with the various organizations. It just works for everybody.
Thanks, Tim. I'm going to ask you to introduce Ryan for me.
This young man is Ryan Cook, and he is responsible for bowling, but he's responsible for my biggest scare ever as being involved in Special Olympics. Ryan wanted to do the long jump, and I just happened to be the guy at the long jump pit. And he takes off and he jumps and he does very well. He turns around and he goes back and he gets another one, and the next one he like
Entirely. I couldn't move it. Tim tried to get me up. I couldn't move my right knee at all. So I had to call my father, who was in the parking lot at the time.
I let him do his stuff on his own.
And then you had to come and get me off the field because I couldn't move my right leg. Then I had to go home. My mother had to rush home because
That's what mothers do.
that's what mothers do.
And what happened?
Ryan wound up
Uh,
needing an ACL.
in meniscus surgery
So that was what, 2+ years ago?
2+ years ago.
And he's come back and now he's going to nationals as a coach. He's on our 4x100 relay team for track. And that was, we've never really had relay teams before. In our first year that we put one together, Ryan was on the team. DJ, who was another athlete who is going to nationals, he was on that team. And they were gold medal winners.
Nice.
Okay. So Ryan, again, is going for bowling, and you want to tell him what you are currently doing to get ready?
So every Sunday, I go down to spare time. Every Sunday morning, me and 3 other people go to spare time for bowling practice. And there's no one, like, half the time there's like hardly anybody in there because it's like quiet. But every Sunday morning, me and my 3 other teammates show up to practice at 10 in the morning, bowl for about 2 hours, usually. But I love my bowling coach to death. Darren. So he has taught me where to place my ball and where to put it. So, it's
So when did you start the Special Olympics, right?
like, 2022.
Wow. Really?
Was it 21?
When did you play golf?
Oh, that was years ago.
That was years ago.
Well, he's been in various Special Olympics since he was 10 or 8 or whatever. That was in Oxford, I think you started in that Special Olympics. So you've been with the Bristol.
Probably.
He was on the golf team.
Yeah, but,
I thought 21, but
Yeah.
I have it wrong.
could be, you talk about Challenger, how many years did you play baseball?
Basketball. Years.
Years straight.
No, be it at those programs is wonderful.
So to get selected to go to nationals, to represent the state, it's a pretty involved process. First off, in the sport that you want to do it in, you have to win a gold medal in your state games the year before. That's what gets you into the process. And so Ryan did that. And so you then can apply to go. And there's an application, as you would think, and you fill that out. And then the state, I'm a little hazy on how they figure all this stuff out. But they come back and say, okay, we have X number of folks that have qualified to go. And we have Y number of slots, which is always much, much smaller. And then there's essentially a very in-depth interview process where they interview the athletes, they interview the families, they interview the leaders, because they want to make sure, of course, that Ryan and the other athletes are actually going to be able to do it. Meaning they can handle the travel, they can, of course, the athletic part they've shown that, but it's a big deal. He's going to get on a plane by himself. Mom and dad are going to be on the plane with him. He's going to fly to Minneapolis. And that's a big deal for young folks. And so there's a lot of background that goes into that. And then there's a big commitment for the family. He's been going to practice every week for a year. And then how many public events and fundraisers have you guys attended? That's all part of it. The games are not free, and the state has to do a lot of work to raise the money to go. And the athletes are expected to contribute. So it's a commitment not only for the athlete, but for the family.
Yeah.
And Bristol, for this summer games, we actually had 5 people selected. And then because there weren't enough slots, it kind of gets into a lottery kind of thing, and we had 2 out of 5. So, I think we did very well.
Awesome. Do you have anything else you'd like to say?
What's your highest score?
200. Well, take that back, 203.
Just the 2 or 3. Take 3 days to get to that right.
I need just one. I should have one.
Well, I have one more person that I think might want to say something. Yeah, it's you, Kevin. Kevin has been, I've known Kevin since he was in middle school. He was one of my first athletes that I ever worked with. Your turn, Kevin.
Actually,
Kevin, what?
Tim is actually right about the process for the summer game,
He's been through it.
for the nationals, for the one in New Jersey, in Minnesota, because I remember back in 2014, Kyle and I actually went down to New Jersey.
Were you on that team?
Yeah, they were.
I cycled, but we got lucky because the first time, because like Tim said, you have to win a gold or you have to win a gold medal the year before. But I found out that I was already eligible before I found out I was eligible because they told us you have to either win a gold or you could either win a gold or a silver. So I think we found out on Sunday. So I found out, so I actually won a silver on Saturday. So I'm like, oh cool, I'm eligible. So then I go to mom. So then I go through mom. Mom talks to Kim Tracy, who was our second coach at the time. Then they talk. So mom's like, okay, send the application in. So then I think we had to sign it. She had to sign it, and then I think Sue Rylander, who was was still the. Hey Tim, I think 2014 she was the coordinator, right?
She is.
Yeah. And luckily for me, when I first started cycling, this one over
We had some
here,
good races,
yeah,
haven't we?
we had some good races, and then we had some. And then when I started skiing, let's see, I can't remember when I started skiing, but I remember the first year I started skiing. My first practice, Gail was there, taught me how to fall. But if it wasn't for this guy right here, I probably wouldn't be doing Special Olympics because he actually recruited me to play basketball. And then we had this other girl named Julie, which Mr. Hylan remembers, who was also a cycling coach who recruited me to do cycling, which was back in 1997, so which was like 29 years ago.
Remember the team?
Yeah, it was the Bristol champions.
Yeah.
I remember because we had Bristol champion
Yeah.
shirts.
The way we had our shirts was,
Those are shirts that we got paid for.
yeah, Jerry Carpenter goes, you need a uniform. I go, okay. Jerry, got any money? He goes, no. So I go, Dad, I need to get uniforms. He goes, how much you need? I said, I think about 500. My father gave me the $500. We went to an outlet down in Brantford, and I saw Champions, and we were purple and teal. Okay? We got our numbers put on, and we were in a tournament at Holy Cross, and we were playing teal. We had teal colors on, and the ref goes, blue, and we go, no, we're teal. Teal's this way. And it's like, it's just fun. I mean, you just laugh and fun with it all. I mean, they were playing, this was when it was just 5-on-5, no unified at that time was our team.
That was probably after, so that was probably after we did Unified, right?
No, unified came after 5-on-5 that we were doing, because we did unified.
No, I mean, I'm talking about like when Mr. Hylan, I mean, when Mr. Blanc played.
Yeah, that was that was the year after we went to unified.
We're neon yellow now.
So you get lessons in it.
And it's really helpful at Southern when you have 50 athletes spread all over the place. You know exactly who you're.
50 athletes out of around 1,200.
Except for, what is it, Ledyard? Who is it? What town? They went to neon yellow too. Somebody.
We were the dark green and yellow was our
Like the Green Bay
colors.
Packers.
Yes, exactly. We were the Packers.
I mean, I remember another time we would play. We would go and play high schools.
Oh, yes,
We
yes.
would go play, well, we wouldn't play the high schools, but we would play other Special Olympic teams at the high schools. Remember that, Mr. Hunt?
Yeah, Ann Malafont, who started CIAC Unified Sports, her 1 year was she developed a CCC basketball league. It was us, East Hartford, Farmington, and Bloomfield. And we would go to those four and
I
play.
think we went to Manchester 2 months.
You see, you're a historian?
Yes, it is. And so we played like on a high school type schedule. And then we had a championship game at Farmington High School, you know, that we came in third. We beat Farmington, but in our first round, we lost to East Hartford but it
We
was,
had a game at Eastern,
yep,
and we had 2 days right.
yep. But that was when, Kevin's saying is, at that point, Eastern had their own unified program, and Central had their own unified program, and now they're combined.
You were still coaching.
Yeah, I was.
Mr. Hylan, Mr. Button is helping you.
Yes, yep, it was us.
That's great. That's so many good memories.
I do have another thing.
Go ahead.
I remember last year's bowling tournament. I was down. I don't know how many things I was down by, but I had to dig myself out of the hole that I was in for last year's tournament. And my first game was like 140 something, and then second game was when I started to really put the ball into work. And like, first game was very close, but I remember the second game just.
We want to open it up a little
Yeah.
bit. Charlie, I didn't know if you had something from the state that you'd like to.
Sure.
Thanks, Kevin.
Go out.
Thank you, Joe.
Yeah, good job,
So first by way of introductions, I was born and raised in Bristol. Grew up right up the street on Stern Street, right across the street from Coach Mills. So Coach Mills was probably 15 when I was born. He's a young dad, of course. And he and I see each other around town once in a while. It's good to see him. I went to school up the street at St. Joseph's, then to St. Paul's. My association with Special Olympics is around 8 years. I started as a volunteer, like these folks who once you get a little bit of taste of that and you just want more, right? The happiness and the joy and the fun that provides is somewhat unmatched. From there, being a volunteer, I joined the board. I've been on the board for a number of years. I just stepped down from the board in March to join Special Olympics Connecticut full-time as in a new role that we've just created as Chief Administrative Officer. So I'm literally on my 30th day, I think, today. So it's been a whirlwind of activity, but I've loved every minute of it. So happy to work with folks like all of you in these teams. As you hear these folks talk tonight, that is what makes the organization so great. That's the engine, that's the fun, that's the drive. I'll connect a few dots that you heard today. First, going back into history, COVID was hard, right, for all of our Special Olympians and their families and the community. And we essentially had to shut down a lot of those programs. You know, the bitter part of that is a lot of those athletes and families never rejoined, right? It was a slow grow back. So fast forward to the Winter Games this year, it's the highest number of participants and athletes that we've had in the history of Winter Games. So we have rebounded quite a bit across the state of Connecticut. That's a good thing. Just a little bit more context regarding the state of Connecticut. We have around 14,000 athletes and what we call partners. That's the unified programs that you heard referenced up here. 14,000 across the state. There's 66 towns that have a Special Olympic program. Across the state, we probably have around 1,600 coaches like these great folks, about 9,000 volunteers across the state. So it takes a village to run that organization for 14,000 athletes. And of those 14,000 athletes, here's what's emerging. It's almost half what we call our traditional programs, our Special Olympic athletes, and the other half is unified sports. Unified sports, as was referenced earlier this evening about being a feeder pool, is absolutely true. But here's the hardest part that we face, is people do not make the connection that unified sports, a lot of them have their children in school playing unified sports. They don't realize when they finish in school, they continue enjoying Special Olympic programs. It's such kind of a missing link. Chris, as an athletic director, is one of those ADs, like a lot of others, who have tried to make that connection, you know, with those families. Like, hey, when Charlie graduates, he can join the basketball team. But there's a lot of missed marks that does not happen as frequently as we would like. So much so that we now have a full-time staff member who work in the school systems, whose job is really trying to make that connection and go through middle school to high school unified and get you into our traditional Special Olympics programs. But it's not an easy task, and they're spending a lot of time and energy, but it's worthwhile, right? We are seeing the growth in those programs as evidenced by those numbers that I told you, but that's our absolute future, right, for all of us. And we love to see, you know, those children, some of those unified programs are as young as middle schools.
Well, I know CAC before COVID had it down in the elementary schools, and COVID really killed it down there. And so I know they're trying to get it back into the elementary schools. So now you have it in elementary, which starts to feed your middle school, which starts to feed your high schools, and then on to the city or town team.
Yeah, when I was the athletic director in Bristol, we had unified at the elementary level. We would have a game. We would rotate around from Stafford, Atlanta team. We would host a game in the spring at Edgewood School.
Right. Yeah.
And then we'd always have. We used to have, again, pre-COVID, we had some great middle school programs. Chickens was before I was the athletic director, I was an assistant principal. We had a great program at Chickens.
And I remember running a couple of tournaments at and we also did a clinic at Chippens school.
You know, so as you've heard these folks talk about what happens in Bristol, and clearly you guys are highly connected with the schools and the traditional programs, right? And we have those strong programs in the high schools at Eastern and Central and at Northeast and at Chippens. That is a role model, right, across the state. You folks are role models across the state. Not everybody has that symbiotic relationship as effectively, but that's so important to growing the program in the state and keeping, you know, our athletes engaged and evolved, you know, throughout their entire adult life. So that's, the more that we can spread those words, you know, that's important for all of us to keep growing the program. What you also may find interesting is, and we talked about a lot of the sports that are being here in Cote here in Bristol, well, what's really starting to move to become increasingly popular, bowling is super hot. Basketball is very hot. And then we talked about challenge baseball, but it's really softball in Special Olympics. Our softball tournament.
Cornhole.
Yep.
Is really
Cornhole
big.
is emerging.
Yeah.
You know, we call it floor hockey or floor ball, depending upon, you know, your chosen preference there. That's a fast-growing sport, and that's a great sport for skills of in all ages and all skills. So that is emerging pretty significantly as well. So a lot going on. We also made a reference to the summer games, so those are June 5th and 6th this year. That's one of the largest events that we have. All those great exciting things we talked about, opening ceremonies, are on deck again for this year. It feels like it's an ESPN moment. It's so well planned, well orchestrated, et cetera. Speaking of ESPN, I feel pretty fortunate, as many of you folks in the room probably know Tim Fury, Attorney Fury, who's a friend of mine. We were looking for a new building for our Special Olympics headquarters for a number of years. We had a building fund, that donors had contributed to over the years, allowing us to do that, but we couldn't find a suitable facility. And just by way of numbers, Special Olympics staff, across the state that work with me, with us, there's only about 40 people, so it's a small organization. We don't need a big office building, but we do need significant warehouse because we get so much in-kind donation of product. We need a place to receive that and store it, and we get served for years, unable to find something that was reasonably priced and in good condition, et cetera. And after exhausting a number of other towns, I reached out to Tim Fury and said, Tim, do you think there's anything in Bristol that might suit that? And so, he asked for the specs that we're looking for, and about a week later, he said, hey, write this address down, go check it out. And so we bought a building at 20 Dolphin Road, which is right next to ESPN. Like, from here to that wall is ESPN. So that feels pretty good to be an organization like ours, that's close physically and strategically with ESPN. ESPN is the worldwide sponsor of Special Olympics. So they are great partners. Our new chairman that took my role when I resigned is an ESPN executive, and they do great things. We just hosted a bunch of the ESPN executives in our new facility this past week. And again, that new facility has quite a bit of work that we are still doing on that. So we'll be starting the construction, call it improvements, in June. It'll take us a whole year to get them done. But we do have we still have an office in Hampton that we maintain. So that's where we'll be for the time being. Sounds like you've been there. So
Yeah, I've been there.
yeah, Bristol will be a nice upgrade when we have that facility.
It's convenient for me.
Convenient. Yeah. So I think those are probably some key things that you may be interested in, but happy to field any questions if anybody has
Does
any.
anybody have any questions? Sure, Dave.
When he participates in the national games, is someone going to tape that? So we can put that on our website?
So it will be on ESPN and ABC.
Right. Maybe you can get a copy or something for that. We have a big website for ourselves that we run.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they're going to film like bowling and some of those things.
Well, I mean, anybody, you
They'll
can
have the
folks.
opening ceremonies will be on.
But the opening ceremony is actually going to be on ESPN Plus, I believe. Is that
Yeah,
correct?
ESPN Plus, yeah.
And then the next day, they said they're going to make it an hour long and put it on ABC regular
They're
television.
going to
Regular
send out
television.
links, and we can provide that.
Terrific, great. So they're going to probably more involved than we've ever seen. TV.
We have a great media guy that does a terrific job that can also help put it on the, either to announce it so that there's going to watch it, gets an interest in that type of thing. And then maybe do a little something on him and his partner,
DJ, yeah.
prior to the games. Maybe somebody could, well, I don't want to volunteer for Tom, but I mean, it would be good if we could. I mean, it'd be so much information.
Yeah.
If you don't mind having your picture.
Yeah, that's fine.
What's your rate? What's your NIL requirement?
Do you have your plane tickets for your ride yet?
Yeah, you got a bus and a plane.
So supposedly, I have been was Bradley didn't work out for all of us. So on June 19th, we have to literally drive from our house to Bradley to hop on a bus to Boston to hop on a plane to fly to Minnesota.
Oh, you're not flying Spirit.
What time do you have to be in Bradley, do you remember?
6:15 a.m. early.
You know who's driving you?
She would.
That's her.
But we're super excited about that. There's a large group that continue doing that. You know, I cannot go. My daughter is getting married that same week, so that's, you know, quite a conflict that I probably cannot miss. We'll be there in spirit, and hopefully when it comes around in the next 4 years, I'll be able to go to that. But we'll be rooting you on for sure.
Yeah.
Anything else from anybody?
Yes, I have a question.
Yes?
We've also had Special Olympics, you mentioned fundraising. Where's my check, where to go? What kind of fundraising are you doing in Bristol for Special Olympics?
A wide variety of things. Let's see. We work with the Knights of Columbus. So we work with several of the service organizations. They've held fundraisers for us. They're giving us grants. We have a family in our group that runs an annual car show, and they donate the proceeds to us. Lee does a lot of work on an annual golf tournament over at Southington Country Club, where we get a decent percentage of the proceeds. Kim and her cohort, Kelly Green, did several fundraisers this year targeted at helping defray the cost of going to Minnesota. There was a spice sale. There was the calendar thing. What was that called?
It was a calendar raffle. We did the month festival. We did a whole bunch of things to raise funds, and we're going to continue that to now have those funds specifically towards the special events.
Do you have something on your website about donations? So I went on the website and to see, do you have?
I don't think we have any good donations. We just have contact information.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a donate now button, but it just leads into your address.
Right, that's, yeah. So we're still in the stone ages with that, with the website, Sarah. But we do various things. We also fill out a lot of grant requests, local banks and Rotary Club. You know, the service organizations the last few years have stepped up and engaged with us, which is really nice.
Well, I certainly want the program to continue. Says Eunice Kennedy Schreiber, thank you for starting all of that. I'm certainly impressed. I came in knowing that I know Carol and Jerry very well. Met Carol Ellis Carpenter in this room in 1952, and she was a good friend of mine. She also was in charge of the Bark greenhouse too. She was always there too. And she was an absolutely generous, kind woman. And I think that she must have left the effect of mom and all of you have on the preceding generations relative to that. So, yes.
Bob can contest. Carol was the boss. Jerry just followed along when we were there, right?
Right.
She is.
She was the boss.
No, she actually ran the program.
Yeah.
She was responsible for all of the, getting the buses and making sure that every athlete had a one-on-one sponsor at the games, and she did all of that work. Jerry and I, we did the coaching, such as it was with soccer, or whatever we had to do to do what we did, right?
But I think what I'm saying too is that there's no ego. There's no ego with her. She wasn't, and it's in this room. There's no ego. She's giving us fully giving of herself. So thank you for that.
You know, even when I was coaching, I had a privilege, like, to have my, you know, when my kids were very, very little, they would be with me at practices. And they grew up with, you know, Special Olympics and all like that. So when we ran the tournament at the high school, my daughter would be at the table greeting the teams in. My son would be on the soccer field as a referee. And the really good thing about the tournament now is we're getting the senior girls soccer players, senior boys soccer players, and this came down from Larry Covino, is that they come down to rep to give back from what they learned from soccer, and them being down there to help out. They're giving back, and that's what it's about. You give back.
Kevin, you remember me rode on the back of my bike for a couple seasons? And my daughter, I had
I remember
a
that.
little seat. when she got involved with the sports at, Little League and all that, I had to kind of step back. But
Now she just graduated from college, right?
she's gonna graduate. But it was just such a wonderful experience, my coaching days, and you just get hooked, like everybody said. Once you get involved, I'm involved, you just get hooked, because it's just such a wonderful experience, and, just so many life lessons or giving back, like you said, it's just been a wonderful experience.
And it's fun when you can do it with your parents, too.
That's true, Kevin. Yep, got your dad right here with you.
Yeah.
Kyle and his dad. Yeah, it's pretty cool. So,
And then, like, you get some memories of one of our players on our team was Devin Eddy. And we're playing in Quinnipiac, and we're down by 2. And we were running a play for one of our three-point shooters, Stevie Halligan. And the ball somehow gets into Devin's hand, and with like 1 second on, he just launches this thing, and it goes in. And we win by 1, and, we're just like, okay, yeah, all right. And Mrs. Eddy comes up to us, and she goes, thank you for giving me that one moment in time. And that's what it's about. That's what it's about. And I just remember, you just remember these memories of stuff like this.
Beautiful.
Well, on behalf of the Hall of Fame, I want to thank, first of all, Gail for your moderating this program. Thank the panelists. In case you didn't know, Bob and Linda had to fly home a few days early from Florida to be here, so we thank you for doing that.
Bob Freeman helped out a lot too, contacts.
And yeah, Bob, all of us. So I think it was a great and we can't wait. We wish Ryan and DJ the best of luck next month. We represent not only Bristol but the United States very well. We look forward to it. So thank you all for coming. There are more refreshments out there, so help yourself to anything on your way out. And thank you all for attending.